Welcome back, Solidworks users, to our 4-part series where we are modeling Wonder Woman's tiara and indestructible bracelets in honor of all you woman warrior engineers out there. We finished modeling Diana's tiara in part 2 of this series, so let's get started modeling one of her indestructible bracelets. Let's open a new part file and sketch on the right plane to begin laying out the shape of the bracelet. In this sketch, just create a midpoint construction line at 9 inches long. Navigate to Reference Geometry, Plane, and we'll create 2 construction planes parallel to the front plane, each one intersecting the endpoints of our sketched line. We'll create the initial shape of the bracelet using the boundary tool, so we just need to sketch the 2 end profiles. Our forearms have sort of an elliptical cross-section, so sketching on the first plane, I'm just going to draw an ellipse and dimension it according to measurements I took off of my own wrist. All of the dimensions I'm using in this model are based off my measurements, but you can certainly download this model and tweak the dimensions to fit you. Now for our second profile, I'll sketch another ellipse, but angled slightly to help match the shape of the typical forearm. I meant to add a vertical line to our first profile sketch to use later on, so I'll add that really quickly to the previous sketch. Now enter the Boundary Boss tool found in the Features Command Manager. Select the first profile, then our second profile, and we'll move these 2 control points so they are coincident with the top points of each ellipse. I don't want the shape of this cuff to be linear, so in this drop-down under Direction 1, we have the option to set some tangency constraints. Here you'll see the option to set a normal to profile constraint for each profile. And you can set a dimension to control how extreme the constraint is. Here we'll set a normal to constraint for both profiles at 0.5. Now let's hollow out the design using the Shell tool. In the Shell Property Manager, set the desired wall thickness dimension, then select the faces you'd like to remove, and in this case we want to shell the part outward since we dimensioned our elliptical profiles to match the outside of the forearm. The front and back of the bracelet have some gold details that are a little thicker than the rest of the bracelet, so let's create some thicker portions to work off of. First, under the Surfaces tab, let's use the Offset Surface tool, set to 0 inches, to make a copy of this outer surface. And we'll split this surface into 2 parts using a reference plane set to 1.5 inches from the front face of the part. Let's hide the solid body and navigate to Insert, Features, Split. Select the reference plane and hit the Cut Bodies button. Select both portions of the surface and ensure Consume Cut Bodies is not selected, as we want to keep these surfaces around. And click OK to split the surface. Now we can use the Thicken tool to convert these surfaces into solids. Let's thicken each surface 0.02 inches in both directions. Note that in the Thicken tool, by using the Thicken Both Sides option, it will thicken the surface in both directions the amount you designate. So the total thickness will be 0.04 inches. So let's make sure Merge Result is turned off and click OK. Now I'll quickly repeat the offset surface and thicken operations to create an even thicker portion on the front of the cuff. Before we complete the details on the front of the bracelet, we're going to cut a channel through the underside of the bracelet using a lofted cut. So let's sketch a few profiles and guide curves. Sketching on this front face, I'm just going to sketch a simple triangle and add dimensions to fully constrain it. Then I'll do the same thing on the back face. The shape of the channel is a bit unique, so the profile on this back face is going to be angled 30 degrees. Once we have it fully dimensioned and constrained, let's exit the sketch. We'll be using a projected curve to create some 3D guide curves. So let's first lay out the curves on the top plane. Here I'm just taking care to make sure the endpoints of the lines are coincident with the appropriate points on my profile sketches. And again, I'll add length and angle dimensions to fully constrain the sketch. So I have the guide curve sketch fully laid out, but the Project Curve tool allows you to project only a single continuous line, not two separated sketches as we have here. So I'll make one guide curve a construction line and create a new sketch where I'll simply use the Convert Entities tool to copy that guide curve over to its own sketch. So exit this new sketch, and with one of the sketches selected, navigate to Curves, Project Curve, and we'll select the outer surface of the bracelet to project this curve on. And I'll make sure the projection is going the right direction using the reverse projection option as needed. I'll just repeat that for the other guide curve. I want to cut this section away from all of our bodies, so let's unhide the other three bodies in the Solid Bodies folder. Now to cut out this channel, navigate to Lofted Cut in the Features Command Manager. Select the two profile sketches, then click in the Guide Curves box in the Property Manager, and select the two guide curves we created, and click OK to complete the cut. Now let's start shaping the ends of this bracelet and adding the details. Let's hide a few of these outer bodies, and then, sketching on the right plane, we'll create an enclosed sketch which we'll use to cut a curved shape through the front of the bracelet. Exit the sketch and we'll simply use the extruded cut tool to do a mid-plane cut set to about 4 inches to make sure it cuts all the way through the part. So rather than using the extruded cut tool again, we can accomplish a similar result using the split tool. Let's run through this process to shape the back of this thicker cuff portion. Again, sketching on the right plane, I'm just going to create an open line and arc sketch, making sure the endpoints are at least coincident to the upper and lower edges of the part. But you can have the lines extend to the outside of the part and achieve the same result. But having the endpoints coincident to the part's edges just makes it easier for me to dimension and constrain this sketch. So once happy with the shape, exit the sketch, and with it still highlighted, navigate to Insert, Features, Split. In the Trim Tools box, your sketch should already be listed, so click the Cut Bodies button, and then we'll click on the portion we would like to split from the body. We don't want this piece to stick around, so we'll ensure the Consume Cut Bodies option is selected, and click OK. So I'll follow this same operation to shape the outermost portion of the cuff. To finish up the front cuff details, let's add some simple triangular extrusions. Sketching on the top plane, sketch a right triangle with the vertical leg as a construction line, ensuring the bottom portion of the triangle overlaps the thick cuff detail a bit. In this case, I've dimensioned it to overlap 0.1 inches. After dimensioning the sketch, use the Mirror Entities tool to mirror the lines across the construction line. Exit the sketch and navigate to the Extruded Boss tool in the Features tab. We're going to extrude this triangle from the main bracelet body. So under the From drop-down, select Surface, Face, Plane, and click the outer surface of the larger body. Then under Direction 1, we'll select Up to Surface to extrude this shape up to the second level of the cuff detail. Just keep an eye on the direction the extrusion defaults to, as you may have to click the little double arrow icon to reverse the direction. For now, we're just going to merge this extrusion to the second level cuff detail so we can reference the larger body in the next extrusion operation. Now I'll just repeat this operation to add the triangular detail to the thickest part of the cuff, but using different dimensions for the triangle. With this extrusion, I had some issues with getting all the bodies to merge when keeping the merge result option on. If this happens to you as an initial workaround, try merging the triangular extrusion to only the outer cuff detail portion. Then navigate to the Combine tool and combine the bodies in a second operation. This ended up working out for me. With the main bracelet shape and the front detail laid out, thus concludes part 3 of our Wonder Woman tutorial. Stay tuned for the 4th and final part of the series, where we'll add the rear details to the bracelet design and give the bracelet its signature silver and gold appearance.